Hi all, just a real quick video of what I've done to facilitate the setting up of the hammock in the backyard. Originally I was hanging between two poles with the back awning there of the house, but unfortunately that proved not to be structurally stable because there was significant rust in one of the poles. So they actually come down and the repairs actually shortened the distance between the two poles, and unfortunately now the hammock doesn't give me enough distance for the hammock. So I was pondering and deciding how I was going to get away with setting up the hammock in the backyard for some tests and trying different things. The hammock thing is all new to me, but thus far I'm enjoying it. But as we all know, you need to set these things up in the backyard, or at least test them out before taking them out in the field. So with that in mind, I was considering all of my options, and stupidly enough was completely ignoring the old swing set that was sitting down in the backyard. Now it didn't have any swings on it because they've fallen through and broken up over the years. So I thought, well, okay, that looks like a good opportunity. So what I actually did, unfortunately, as it was, the swings, again, from effectively what's an A-frame to an A-frame, didn't give me enough distance. So what I've actually done is just gone and grabbed a piece of pine for the princely sum of $10.10. Taken off the normal metal beam that went across here, it's only light steel, and simply applied the A-frames to that piece of pine, and as you can see, that now gives me plenty of room to hang the hammock and the tarp over the top there as well. Now I was actually going to go with a 4 metre, but that's actually a 4.8 metre length. I've moved in about 30 centimetres, so I think there's probably about 4.2 metres between the 2 points. In retrospect, I probably could have taken it out a little bit further, because as you can see, I'm not using a lot of the webbing before I go into the Whoopie Slings, and the Whoopie Slings are up fairly tight. But never mind, I can always drill some extra holes and move it out later on if I need to. I was interested to see whether the webbing was going to hold on to the pole, being that they're fairly slippery and painted, but they seem to hold on well. But in the end I've actually dropped them down to here, and that holds them up, that cross piece holds them up there as well, so it doesn't really matter, it's a bit of a moot point. Plenty of room under there. Now the tarp I'm using here is actually the oztrail hiker fly that you'll see I've already done a quick review on, or a quick overview on. Works quite well. It is a little bit heavy, it's about 650. I've got some tech line coming, so I'll replace those guy lines with some tech line, and that'll save me some weight there. I think I'm actually going to get it down to under 600, and it's actually a 210 wide by about 360 long, but I don't mind that extra length. As you can see, if we come up to the other end, I actually bend those guy out that center point, and then pull in the end pieces there, so it gives me a bit of additional weather protection. I can actually, sorry for the light there, I can actually pull both of those completely shut like that, and still got enough room in there to hang without making too much contact. Would be really nice if there were some additional guy out points up here, perhaps somewhere up the middle. I may possibly add those at a later date. But anyway, just wanted to show you what I've done here with this the old swing frame. I imagine there's plenty of you running around with one of these sitting in the backyard, or know somebody who's got one sitting in the backyard that's not being used, and maybe this will come in handy and give you some ideas. What this might also enable me to do is, as you can see, at this point I'm tied off to one of the legs of the A-frame, So that would effectively enable me to hang 2 hammocks side by side, one on this side, one over here. So that's possibly a good idea, and I could just obviously throw a larger tarp up across that long beam there. But I am thinking about maybe just tying these points off to the middle here, just throwing the webbing around here and having it a bit more centered. And then what I can actually do, rather than having the guy lines go down and just in the ground here, sorry for the grass, we've had lots of rain, so what I can actually do is guy out to probably to the corners of the A-frame here, and with the exception of the center guy line, this could be a permanent hammock setup. I could obviously set the hammock up, just pick up the A-frame and move it around, move it all over the yard or wherever I want to put it. So just a quick update while we're here on the keeping your ass warm scenario whilst in the hammock. I've actually got the sleeping bag that I've got here is a synthetic, weighs about 2 and a bit kilos, but it's good down to about 12 degrees. Now what that's actually given me an opportunity last night was to try it out in the hammock. I do have an inflatable mat down under here, just a cheapie, but it is, I think it's a bit over 1 inch thick, give or take, probably about 3 centimetres thick. What I did actually find is I did get a bit of CBS last night, which was very interesting to me because this is a minus 12 degree bag. Obviously got the mat there under me, only because compared to when I use my Big Agnes sleeping bag, which has the inbuilt, well, sorry, not the inbuilt mat, the mat that slides into the back of into the sleeve, into the back of the sleeping bag, it's rated down to about -7, I think. So this one, in theory, has 5 degrees Celsius on top of it, as far as range goes, but significant difference as far as the coolness. So again, the Big Agnes crater, I think it's -15 degree Fahrenheit, is 15 degree Fahrenheit is really impressing me at this point, especially for use with this. It's kept my ass warm, it's comfortable, it's actually easy to manage. This bag's a lot bigger, so when I get in, I'm feeling like I'm just constantly fighting with this bag, trying to get it into position, pulling it into position, where the Big Agnes with the mat underneath it, already built in, just sort of stays in place. You just flip the top over, jump in it, zip up, and away you go. I'm still getting the hang of these, as far as getting the right tension on the bungee cord here. I think I'll probably end up going to guy line once I get that's just 550 cord there. So once I actually get some appropriate guy line, something that doesn't stretch as much, I'll probably get some short bungee made up and just attach it to that instead, rather than going all the way out the end there like that. That's a bit messy, and obviously if the water, if it rains, that's going to bring it straight in. As far as usage on the DD hammock at the moment, everything's going really well. When I was in it last night, I did notice that there's a bit of a, what you can see there, that's one of the pockets, and there's a bit of a hole, where are we, just there where some of the stitching is. So that concerned me just a little bit. I hope that doesn't turn into a tear point, but that's actually only on the, it's only on the inside layer, so I don't think there's going to be too much of an issue. But I might put a little bit of drop of seam seal or something on like that, just to or maybe just super glue or something like that, just to firm it up a bit so it doesn't continue to tear. Quite like these pockets. I know people have had a bit of a whinge about them. They don't hold a lot, you're not going to put a lot of weight in them, but it's certainly suitable for putting a phone in, dropping a torch, and keep in mind that you've got them at the other end as well. So I tend to chuck my keys and stuff in the other end. DD, if you're listening, what I'd really like to see, and I know you can certainly put things, you can attach to the top, attach to the tabs under here and run a internal guy line. For us shorter people, being 5'4", what I'd really like to see is right out the end, stitch in is maybe another little pocket, like just a little bag or something like that, that attaches on the end, just folds down. You can drop some bigger stuff in the top, hold out of the way, because what I tend to do is, you know, I'm in the hammock, having a bit of a snack, having some lollies, having some chips, something like that. And I tend to just throw them up over the top of my head. Up here, it'd be lovely to be able to just tuck something in there, get it out of the way, so there's no weight in these side pockets, and it's just sort of sitting out the top there. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, really loving the hammock, enjoying it. Got an NO7 on its way, so I've got an NO7 on its way to try and lower the weight. I think this will probably be the cooler season setup, along with car camping, etc. And once we get into the warmer weather, and I can knock up myself the bug net, we'll go with an NO7 and some sort of a lighter sil nylon tarp or something like that. But anyway, really enjoying this hammock. That's my first hammock, so obviously I haven't got a lot to compare it to, but certainly can't complain about the quality, the price. I think I paid around the $90 mark, give or take, delivered. And obviously this tarp, and the oztrail tarp, like I said, it's the Hiker Fly. Picked it up for sub $30. I think it was around about the $27 mark or something like that. It's a little bit big. I was actually considering picking up another one and maybe taking a bit of length off the end and restitching it. But we'll see how we go once we change the guy lines and see what sort of weight it comes down to. For 600 odd grams, it's not too bad. And for $30, less than $30 Australian, you certainly can't beat that. Now, one thing I've actually noticed through my trial and error phase with hammocks and hanging things, I've obviously doing a lot of hammock forum reading and checking things out. When I went for a hang the other week, which I'll add a video up of as well, I wouldn't say it was unsuccessful. It was a successful hang, but the weather had me bug out a little bit early. Head home about 4 o'clock in the morning. These initially come with guy lines on the ends here as well, and you can put plenty of tension on them, but what I find is it doesn't give you a really solid ridge line. So, excuse me. So what I've actually done is disposed with those, pulled those off, and at the moment I've just got a paracord ridge line run along through there, and then some Prosec knots just on the end to keep the tension on it. And that way I find I can actually keep a nice even A-frame sort of over the top of the hammock. What I was finding, if I just use the normal guy lines that were here, I was certainly getting lots of tension on there, but you know, I'd go down one side, it would pull the tarp over one way, or it would pull the other way, and it was a bit of messing around. So the guy line seems a bit simpler. Sorry, the ridge line seems a little bit simpler. I don't know about whether that wicks moisture down the guy line there or not, but I'll have to see how that goes. But definitely more effective. I was able to get more attention on it. Being that that's 550, you can see there it started to stretch a little bit, but she's fairly taut. Anyway, that's it. Comments, questions, whatever, feel free, chuck them at me. Happy to help out, and certainly any advice along the way, feel free to throw that at me as well. Cheers, guys.